Question number 1 in this new video. After attempting the entry level multiple times and I know the chart isn't broken, I feel like a setup is still intact, but I feel like I'm over trading it on the 4th attempt it goes without me. Look, I mean, RVSN, for example, I was buying it on Friday, expecting a breakout, didn't happen. I was flying on Monday, and that's when it really, struck and basically, spiked big. And then now today on Tuesday, it spiked even more. So, you pull up a chart on RVSN and there's multiple breakouts. And it's pretty amazing that, it's gone up so much without me. Do I feel like crap for missing it? Yes. But, it's not an exact science. Sometimes it's going to be the first breakout. Sometimes it's the second. Sometimes it's the third or fourth. You can never really regret missing it because especially in a hot market like this, you're always going to get another chance. It's not like buy the 4th breakout every time, okay? Sometimes you have to judge the plays in the news, and it's all a little different. This is why the Sykes sliding scale exists. Let's see. As I continue to progress, I find myself having a hard time nailing down what I need to fix. Is this a good sign or bad sign? I mean, it's just a sign, right? Like you have to fix a lot maybe, but at least you recognize that. It's a good sign that you recognize you have some issues. But, what you need to fix is really getting your method and your process down and taking every piece apart, right? Like if you're taking apart a car and you're going to figure out why it's giving engine problems. Let's say you're a Formula One, car engineer and you're trying to squeeze an extra third of a second. You take the whole car apart and you look at every single, part from the car. That's what you have to do with your strategy. Are you too early? Are you too late? Do you have the right broker? Are you taking the right size? Are you focusing on the wrong setup? Do you need more than one setup? Is it just the market? This isn't an exact science. So, you do need to fix stuff, but at the same time, it's fixable. Everything is fixable, and you always have another trade to try, right? It's not just one trade is going to make or break your career. It's a process. So keep learning, keep trying stuff. Don't be afraid to fail. If you trade small, if you paper trade, and you try to hone and optimize your process over time. The overall market's really had a slow start to give long opportunities the first 2 weeks after New Year's. Were you just as surprised as Jack how much the overall markets this January 2024 slowly gave long opportunities? And do you think it's a bullish trend will hold? I long ago stopped trying to predict the market. I just accept what the market will give me. I was surprised, frankly, how fast the markets have spiked since November of 2023. The markets have been on fire. We're very overextended here in January 2024. So whether you have a slow day, a slow week, or a slow month, it doesn't matter. I hope that we have a slow year to give you guys more time to study. But it doesn't look like that's the case. And now, we have this kind of frothy, speculative environment. And there's 3, 4, 5 supernovas every day. So it's good that there's a lot of opportunities, but it can get overwhelming. Do I know if the bullish trend will hold? I don't know, and I don't care. I don't try to predict, I just react. If the markets are hot, I try to adapt. If the markets are slow, I pull back, I try to trade less and trade smaller. Why have you stopped talking about NFTs and the NFT club is still active? The NFT club is still active. NFTs are still a good opportunity. I'm just overwhelmed, okay? Some people say, why don't I trade other international markets? My patterns work there too. Why don't I trade crypto? It works there too. I don't have time. I'm literally on the brink of losing my mind most days. Not just because of my crazy schedule, but you have to understand this is a whole new sport. I am basically like James Naismith inventing basketball. And this is the beginning. And there's different leagues being formed. The NBA hasn't come about yet, okay? It's funny where non-students think that there's some scam. They're like, oh, I can't believe you've kept this scam going for so many years. It's not a scam. It's me being overwhelmed. I've grown my team. My millionaire students now help me give webinars, which is cool. But I just don't physically have the time or mental capacity. What is that Eminem lyric where it's if you tip me, my tank is on empty. And if you offend me, I'm lifting you 10 feet. I don't care who is there. That kind of thing, right? I'm literally one bad comment away from losing my shit almost every day because I'm so sick of non-students saying it's a scam and when all you have to do is study. And, frankly, like it's a good place to be mentally, to be on edge all the time, because I'm always worried about, being wrong in a big way. And I'm always looking to prove myself and create more millionaire students. So I think it's good when most people doubt you. I use that, but I'm just literally overloaded. Jamil wrote the complete penny stock course. I have another student who just wrote another book I have to read because they're trying to help me organize everything. I need help. If you guys can become my next millionaire students and then help me teach, I'd appreciate it. But you got to study a lot first. Let's see. How can I take better advantage of the first part of the framework? Pre-early pump was in TSNP, ENZC, OPTI before they went parabolic. My strategy was tracking. Well, you're also bringing up a lot of OTCs during 2020 and 2021 when there were a lot of promoters. That was beautiful. But right now, what's really driving stocks are short squeezes. So you don't get like these nice multi-day, multi-week setups. You got to use stocks to trade breaking news right now. And the good news is the parabolics don't take weeks or months. They're happening within days. Whether we're talking RVSN, it's just sped up for better or worse. And it's higher price stocks. But RVSN, in basically 8 days has gone from the 1s to the 20s. Okay? CRBP in just, one morning on Friday went from 8 to 40. MARK today went from 35 cents to $1.50, 4 times your money before crashing. So recognize that things are sped up, and you don't get the perfect OTC pumps because the promoters are dead and OTCs are pretty dead. What's the best way for self-sufficient traders to not pick up bad habits like learning bad new strategies, bad new education, disinformation? You got to learn from traders who show all their trades. There's a lot of screenshot heroes on Twitter and on Discord, and they post 1 or 2 gains, and they're like, look, I made 10K or made 20K. I love my job, like trading rocks. Show me all your trades. You can't learn shit from traders who don't show all their trades. It's like playing golf. There's 18 holes on the golf course, and you submit your scorecard, and you only show that you birdied 4 holes, and you had an eagle on 1 hole. So you show 5 holes out of 18. Oh my God, you're amazing. What happened on the other 13 holes where you got double bogeys and triple bogeys because you just wanted to show your top 5 holes? That's trading. So really, if you're going to learn from anyone, say, what are all your trades? Entries, exits, reasoning, risk management. I need the whole process. If you learn from half a process, you're going to be severely surprised at how bad you do, and you're going to be confused AF. Part of the reason why I even created Profitly in the first place was because there were so many websites where traders would show their entries because they want to pump up stocks they're in, and you would never hear about their exits. And I was like, this isn't trading. How does one better react to the market if the prediction of an event is 100% accurate, like hot sectors, upcoming inevitable wars, like Texas, there might be a worldwide event? I study out, I think ride the hype, never believe it. I don't think it is likely that Texas is going to break apart from the U.S. I don't think that, there necessarily is going to be a World War III. I think you have to really be careful a lot of these conspiracy theories and social media trends where people paint a very dystopian future. And in my experience, they're almost always wrong. For years, I've heard how the U.S. is like failing. Obviously, we have debt problems, but the U.S. dollar has gotten stronger the past few years. Inflation sucks, but we controlled it. And we controlled our inflation better than almost any other country. China was supposed to take over the whole world, but now their real estate is down 80%. So really be careful with a lot of this predictions and a lot of BS that you see online. The U.S., and I gave a podcast just the other day. It was like a 2-hour podcast. I was saying how there's an invisible hand with the U.S. where the U.S. is the most successful country in the history of the world. We're far and away the, best lifestyle, most free, most, economically prominent, richest country ever. And a lot of people don't understand that. You don't have perspective. You don't go to third world countries. You don't see how bad other people have it. You don't study other markets and you see how poorly they do compared to the U.S. So how do you predict things? I don't know how to predict. I just react. But Part of the reason why the US is so good to trade is because we are the best. And anything could happen. Obviously, there's nuclear war, geopolitical unrest, civil unrest, but by and large, we're still better than everybody else. So there's a lot of money out there, and it comes to the US. I just wouldn't try to predict any catastrophe or anything for that matter. I just go with long-term trends. What trends or themes in the market are you currently paying close attention to? The number one trend is that there's so many short sellers right now, and that leads to giant short squeezes in plays like MARK, RVSN, CRBP. And the beautiful thing is that these stocks do come down in a hurry. So short sellers, even though they're wrong initially, they're right in the long run. So that's what's led a lot of the biggest short sellers to, be very profitable, because they can average up, they can size in. And so the rich get richer in terms of short sellers, but newbie wannabe short sellers are just terrible. And they're almost always the cause of these giant squeezes. So, this is why I warn against short selling. I know that there's money to be made, but you don't know how high the squeezes are going to go. And I think the best trend is for people with small accounts, not a lot of experience, to ride these squeezes as best you can. Do you find yourself still with fear and greed? Yeah, I'm always greedy when there's opportunity. I don't think greed is always a bad thing. Fearful? I'm not really fearful, I trade like I'm fearful. I trade with a small account and I always cut losses quickly, but it's not fear that drives me. It's purpose. It's trying to lead by example. So I trade like a fearful newbie, as if I only had a few $1,000s to my name, but I'm not really that fearful. I'm just practicing good, humble trading. What do you do in situations where a trade doesn't go as planned? How do you handle the losses? Cut losses quickly. Cut losses quickly. Pascal, insert cut losses quickly for like 2 minutes. So for me, rule number one is to cut losses quickly. 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 Quickly, losses cut. Cut losses quickly. That's literally it. If you just do that mechanically, it's really not that scary. If you don't cut losses quickly, if you're like, oh, this play could have come back, I should have held, you open yourself up to potential disaster. If you always cut losses quickly, it's really tough to lose big. It really is. It could still happen, but it's tough. Same thing with taking singles. Some people are like, when should I take profits? I just really get in the habit of taking like 5, 10, 20% gains. Every now and then I have like a 30, 40% gain like AUVI a few weeks ago. But most of the time I just take singles. And if you can turn this into something mechanical where you take singles and you cut losses quickly, your account will grow over time. How do you adapt your strategy to different market conditions? I just take what the market offers me. Like I said, I prefer morning panic dip buys, but right now it's breakouts and short squeezes. I suck at trading short squeezes, as you see with RVSN and CRBP, but I take what I can and I try my best. But you're inevitably going to have stronger patterns than others. And unfortunately, the market won't always give you the patterns that you want. This isn't Burger King. You can't customize your Whopper and have it your way right away. You just have to accept it. And, like Jack Kellogg took 2 months off from trading when he was just like, I don't want to short, I don't want to get squeezed. Tim Gradani is taking basically 3 years off from trading while he's just been focused on being a full-time dad. So you can adapt your strategy and your life to suit whatever you choose. It's not always just about how much money you can make. It's not how much you can trade. You really got to think, what makes you happy? What are you good at? What makes you stressful? What are you bad at? What's dangerous? How do you determine the appropriate position size for a trade? That's all on the Sykes sliding scale. Some trades are better than others. I, for one, also tried to go bigger on PXLW this morning. It was just spiking too fast. In hindsight, I made like $500 on each of the trades that I took. I wanted to take bigger positions, but I also didn't want to chase. So sometimes I'm going to get partial fills. So it's based on how fast the market is moving, but then also, is this a really good setup or not? PXLW, had news with Disney. Disney is actually using their product. They were quoted in the press release. It's not a fluff press release. So that made me want to go bigger, but unfortunately the stock moved faster because other people saw it too. So I try my best. As you follow market trends and events, analyzing what's something you found the most helpful. Just trying not to predict. Everyone wants to predict what's the next hot stock, what's the next hot sector, what's going to happen in the world. I have no idea. If you try to predict all this stuff, your odds are like 50-50. If you react, like PXLW, the news was already out with Disney. It's recognizing, the news is out. This is a big legitimizer for this technology. Let me buy. And the price action concurred. So it's just training your brain to think differently. We all want to predict. We all want to be ahead of time. No one wants to buy a stock that's already spiking fast. You want to be there before it spikes. In my experience, that's just not reality. How do you manage so many stocks with just a laptop? How do you set up your STT? Well, this is my watch list. So I'm watching, top percent gainers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 10% gainers. And then I have my watch list of recent runners. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So basically like 20 to 25 stocks overall. It's too much right now. It's a little overwhelming when I'm jet lagged and there's 25 stocks on my watch list. So I just try my best. But I don't think you need to watch like 50 or 100 stocks. I don't think you need to have like 7 longs and 3 shorts and be perfectly hedged. Like I only take like 1 position at a time usually. Just got in from work. What's the best lesson today to take profits on scummy stocks and not hold too long? Correct. You nailed it. Ride the hype, just never believe it. And lock it in along the way. Whether it's MARK, RVSN, or PXLW, they all teach the same lesson. Or NEXI. Four examples today. How do you find the balance between giving a good play more time and overstaying? Fortunately, I have a crazy schedule. So I really never want to overstay just because I want to sleep or I want to adventure or I have, charity work or I have some other thing to do in real life. In this market also, I don't think you're rewarded for overstaying. Like those 4 stocks or 5 stocks today, none of them would reward you if you stay too long. I could have given all of them like an extra hour or 2, but I also was so jet lagged I needed a midday nap. So it's funny where my personal life sometimes forces me just to like nail and bail, but in this market I think it's better. I'll give it more time when I see like better multi-day runners. Like 2020, 2021, I give it more time. I hold more stocks overnight because I was rewarded. You can judge how long you want to stay based on how recent plays using that pattern have done. Baz says, what size volume do you look for to possibly enter a trade? I mean, I like a few 100,000 shares or a few million. I don't like buying stocks with like 50,000 shares traded or like 50 million shares traded. That's too illiquid or too liquid. So that's my sweet spot. Last question, is it really true that trading too hard turns hair white? Yes, especially short selling. Look at, Tim Lento. Put up a picture of Tim Lento. He doesn't like me saying it, but, most short sellers just look like crap, and they look old, and they feel old, and they have like this toxic mindset. And if you're in any of these toxic short selling chat rooms or communities, it's all groupthink, and they're all like, these companies all suck. If a stock spikes big, the best case that they can say is like, well, I avoided that one. And I'm like, if a stock is spiking big, you don't just have to avoid it. You can buy it and profit, but they literally can't think of that. So, again, you choose what kind of life you want. I've made millions shorting. I just think the squeezes are crazy right now, and it's too stressful and risky, and that's not a life I want. So these are some questions. I'll post this as a video lesson. Ask more questions in the comments below. I'm always here to answer questions. This is what I do. Live it, love it, use it.